Okay. So I would love to invite Dr. Maya Ward, who is our guest speaker here today, to do an acknowledgement of country for us, please.
Thank you so much, Kerryn, and really wonderful to be invited into the family that is Ecotherapy Online. You have such a beautiful connection between all of you. I can't stop smiling really at the banter and the smiles and so forth, that sense of weave that you've created between yourselves over your time together. So lovely to be here with you. Thank you for the invitation. I am sitting here today on the edge of Bunurong and Gunai-Kurnai countries at a place called Venus Bay in the very southeast of Victoria. I'm here at the request of some friends of mine who are running a nature-based leadership retreat, and I've been teaching here. And so this isn't the land I live on, but I feel very, very grateful to be here. It's beautiful land. It's fertile, rich country between the ocean just over this way and the estuary just here. So rich land, well-loved land, well-tended land for tens of thousands of years by the Bunurong and Gunai-Kurnai peoples. This land was and is a special place. It's a liminal zone here on the edge of things, the edge of the ocean and the edge of the estuary. Abundant food, abundant life, and abundant culture that was profoundly disrupted with the advent of European settlement and colonization. To be here now is to bear witness to the beauty of the land and to also the sorrow of this land that has been so unjustly taken. It's unceded land, it's stolen land, and yet we come into relationship with it, with a place that we cannot help but fall in love with. So this is the troubles that we sit with, being of settler peoples. It's the poignancy and also the depth-making process of belonging. That longing in that word, the longing to belong, is a difficult thing when that rupture has happened. So to acknowledge that rupture and to acknowledge our sorrow for that, and yet to commit to repair, to acknowledge and honour the First Nations peoples of all the lands we are currently situated on, to send our profound respect to their elders, past, present, and emerging, and to support the flourishing and the reclaiming of those cultures where they've been broken is part of the work of these times, coming back into right relation. So I acknowledge our history, and I acknowledge the potential for a rich future going forward, bearing witness to this past. So thank you, and I hand you back to Kerryn and for today's proceedings, and may the spirit of that depth and the beauty of the lands that we live on undergird and underpin the work that unfolds here today and deepens the play and deepens the love. So thank you.
Kerryn is part of Module 3. She's a colleague in horticultural therapy. We started out together many years ago when I met her through horticultural therapy. She's a dear friend. We've collaborated on a number of projects, and I was really happy to bring her across to do some work on Module 3, which is the beautiful plants, trees and flowers module where we really feel deeply into those. So Kerryn, do you want to, have you got a few words to say to us for today and to the graduates in particular, but to all of us?
Hi everyone, hold on, I'll just put the blind down so you can see me. Hey, just welcome everyone. We pay our respects to the Awabakal people. We're on Awabakal land here in Lake Macquarie, just near Newcastle for those that are tuned in from further away. And yeah, I was very pleased to come on board this year with Kerryn in the beautiful work and to participate in giving feedback on your Module 3 assignments. And I was so impressed with the work that I've seen and just the diversity that people have come up with. You know, certainly I can see that real sense of being tuned into and that deep connection with nature with the work I've seen, and certainly exploring plants from all the different senses, from herbs, that sensory experience with herbs, looking at some of the local indigenous plants surrounding them, tuning into the wildlife and the connections that you can make, people are making there, and weaving that into their programs. Even poetry, the arts, it's just so diverse, and it's been an absolute joy. And seeing some of the beautiful activity cards that people have created as well. And so my heartfelt congratulations to all the students. So I believe there's Carly, Moran, Sarah, and Ling. And I've had the pleasure of working with Ling over the years, and Ling certainly works from her heart and does the most beautiful work. So it's an absolute privilege to be here today to say congratulations to all the students, and to think what wonderful work that people will be doing. And certainly I'd love to also reach out and say, please keep connected with us. Don't hesitate, drop us a line, share your ideas, and keep growing our network together. And that will make us stronger in this work. And I must also say, Kerryn, congratulations to you. You have created something quite beautiful here, which we treasure you for that as well, that you've created this from your heart, and it's very special. And the world needs, more than ever, I think we've all come to appreciate this in the last year, that the world needs this work more than ever. Everyone has been reaching out to nature of late. That's mostly what I just wanted to say, and wish everyone all the very best in where they go next on their journey. And can I do one brief little reading, Kerryn? Have I got just from a book I'm reading at the moment, which is called The Master Lessons of Nature, 8 Master Lessons of Nature. Don't know if people have come across that one. There's so many beautiful books to share there at the moment, but I'll read you from the very first page. And this is where our hearts come from with this work. It says, we knew the juice of spring then, surging in the wild rose and the fig, and in us too. We could feel it, as if we were somehow wed to the tender shoots, as if our own breathing was the great green breath of earth. A time when a person barely knew where she ended and the world began. The shouts, the songs, the purring and the whirring, all of it an astonishing conversation. So all my love to everyone, and congratulations.
So ecotherapy is transformational. It's been transformational for me, and it is a transformational in its nature. And I just want to say a few words to that before we bring on Maya for her preparation for you. So I have witnessed so much transformation and deep transformation over the 3 years that this study has come to this culmination today of our first graduation. In your assignments, in meeting you, in talking to you, in hearing your heart for this work when you first sort of are wondering whether it's for you, whether it's aligned, whether it's something you want to, you know, develop and explore. if it's the adventure for you. And then as you go along and as you open to the learning, and I want to acknowledge the joy of transformational learning. I want to acknowledge the pain of it. I want to acknowledge the discomfort of it and the way it works on you, those emotions. And I listened to some trees, and this is partly because of Maya, and I'm doing some work with Maya around that at the moment. And some trees helped me to work out that transformational learning is kind of like laying down the tree rings that happen in a tree. So transformational learning is a process, and it supports meaningful growth, which is a bit like a tree trunk going up and going out at the same time to support it as it goes up. It makes change. So it branches out in new directions. It leaves the ground, and it might take you out on a limb. I've learned not to be fearful of a limb because that's where the fruit is. It's proprioceptive, and now that word, I probably shouldn't have even said it. It just means that you're more aware of your body position in it all. And I kind of started thinking around how a tree is aware of how it's growing, and really it doesn't have a choice except to grow. And so I want to be a little bit more like that in my transformational learning. And it doesn't come from books, even though reading other people's experiences, telling their stories, is really wonderful and important part of learning and of growth. Your own transformation doesn't come from that. It comes from your experiences. And so honing your inner tutor and your intuition, the gut brain, the second brain, is all what part of transformational learning. It's letting go of what you thought you knew and venturing out. So I just want to honour in all of you, and I'm going to name you now. I'm going to name you. Those who can't be here: Moran, Casey, Carly, Emerald, and Sarah can't be here with us today. Angelique, Jenny, Ling, and Rosemary are here, and that's wonderful. I want to honour the pain, the joy, and the fear that is all part of your transformational journey in learning. Also, the other students who are still coming along. I want to honour that in you too. Meg, Rachie, Melanie. Have I missed anyone? Just want to honour that. Just take a moment and allow that space and celebrate it. Hi, Estelle, you're there too. I want to honour that in you as well, girl. Okay? The joy, the pain, the discomfort, and the relief of it, because we need it. And I just wanted to really briefly offer something that I've been learning about the way I learn recently. And it's through listening to trees, through some of the work I'm doing with Maya. And I'm starting to realise how much I don't listen, how full my head can be, how ingrained my expectations are around learning and around listening, and indeed around silence, how quick I am to judge myself, how I get frustrated with the discomfort, and how I might try and move into control it. So I need it. This transformational learning, I desire it deeply. I need it. It's profound. It's not always comfortable, but I am grateful for it. And these last words I'm going to give to an old gum tree in the back of my place. It's probably 200 years old, could be more. And this is a conversation that we had not so long ago and she said to me, in my trunk, there is much making and layering of wood, turning the days of soil and water into rings of strength. Stand everything, Kerryn, let it be a ring circling around the stories of your life. Grow everything around its course and shed when you outgrow the layers, and don't try, she said, to grow or to shed, because this is a natural process and all you have to do is allow it. We've got thunder coming now, and that's beautiful, isn't it? Isn't it beautiful? You can feel the change. Sorry, I'm just acknowledging the change in my body that's come through. We've literally got thunder and sort of rain coming from a really hot, humid afternoon. So just feeling that. Okay, so thank you, Tree, and thank you for helping me learn about transformation, the need for it, the desire for it, but also the fear of it and the resistance of it. The whole process, just acknowledging and honouring it. Yeah. Okay, I am now going to introduce you formally to Maya, Dr. Maya Ward. She lives in Wurundjeri country in the mountain village of Warburton and is passionate about deepening the connections between the body, ecology and culture through writing, dancing and tending the earth. Her PhD, A Secret History of Listening, is a creative response to the history of deep presence with the world in Western esoteric and holistic science traditions, alongside her learning from Australian Aboriginal teachers. It explored shamanistic and somatic metaphysics and the role of embodiment in facilitating ecological and spiritual connection. She's worked as an urban designer, an outdoor theatre director, permaculture teacher, where she focuses on developing intimacy between the human body and the places we dwell. Her memoir, The Comfort of Water, A River Pilgrimage, which that's how I first learnt of Maya, through her extraordinary book and story of that, detailed her walk from the sea to the source of the Yarra, and I believe that's called Birrarung, following the length of an ancient Wurundjeri songline. Currently, her focus is on teaching courses that dive deeply into the ritual of acknowledging country to explore how this call to engage properly with shame and grief could catalyse broader cultural engagements with the animate earth. So it's really good to have you here, Maya. You're really welcome, and really looking forward to what you've prepared for us today.
Thank you so much, Kerryn. I feel very, very honoured to be here and wonderful to meet you. I do feel honoured to be asked to speak to you on such an occasion, the culmination and celebration of significant journeys that you've taken, you graduates. It's been a beautiful experience to dwell on this work that you're doing and actually realise that although I've never named it as such, it is also the work that I do. So maybe I could call myself an ecotherapist, although perhaps I need to come along to your course too. I do feel that ecotherapy might be, and I say this without exaggeration, the work of these times, because these times are calling us to transform. And those of you who understand our embeddedness and interpenetration with nature have great gifts to give. Because you can reveal through art processes, storytelling, mythologies, and embodied experiences how we are always already exquisitely involved in life. Already involved in intimate, profound, loving, irrevocable, and ongoing relationships with countless more than human beings. You guide people into conscious relationship with all those that they're unconsciously entangled with, the ecological network, the great and mysterious system of life. And it's fun to speak those words while I'm sitting here in a tea tree forest and bull ants crossing over my bare toes, and I gasp with an edge of fear. And the wrens twitter in the bushes, and the ravens fly overhead, and the black cockatoos and their slow wing beats every now and then come across. That's the embeddedness. Every breath we take is a gift from the trees. They make our oxygen. And we know that, but I don't think we know as well that every out breath we give is our gift back to the trees. Carbon dioxide for them to to make manifest in leaves and trunks. They use what we expel and build their bodies. This is the entangling. This is the relationship. And it's a very beautiful and delicate dance. And it's that simple at core, to draw people into a sense of greater belonging, greater home. Because the idea of the individual human is only an idea. And that's not a very good idea at that, because it's highly inaccurate. It is a distortion of the true nature of reality. We can't be separated. We can't be separate, except for a very, very tiny little few synapses going on in the neocortex. The rest of us knows that we're here and that we're embodied, that we are embedded. So ecotherapy, it's part of the project to end the loneliness of human exceptionalism. That Enlightenment philosophy that has damaged our capacity to be in close and respectful relationships with this aware, intelligent universe. To decenter the human and reclaim our place in the glorious pattern of life. We have been so trained away from these notions, though. We think it's a dead universe and the only intelligence is here. But here is not even here. Here is part of the system. When we understand ourselves as utterly embedded in the system, we understand that intelligence is an artifact of the entire system of life. It's not separable from, and it makes no sense apart from its entanglement and its embeddedness. So when we think of intelligence as not our intelligence, but the intelligence that we carry for a while when we're in human form, that's actually deeply, for me anyway, reassuring and comforting, because it expands everything into something we know is more true. We know the world is more beautiful, more rich than a reductionist science might have us believe, than a culture wedded to the idea of economic growth would have us believe. So the gifts of ecotherapy are very precious gifts. And each therapist will, I imagine, be called to tend different layers of the work. There's the foundation level, the most important level, those beginning the journey, the falling in love with the earth and the manifest world, and seeking to guide people into ways to surrender and be nourished by the world. And as I said, it's as simple as the breath. But there are so many very beautiful ways to meet that depth and that entanglement. The practice of ecotherapy might include tending our relationships with the many and various inhabitants of the more than human world. To get to know how different elementals or animals bring forward different qualities of the world. And then also to allow ourselves to be resourced by their knowings, the way Kerryn is learning from the tree how to grow and how to shed, how to accumulate wisdom, and how to be a strong and sturdy body for others. All of those are lessons that trees demonstrate in their sheer beingness. So yes, for some people, for you to be the strong and steady tree is a gift to them. To be deep, warm earth for another person. To be wind and bring fresh new air and deep breath for another. It's interesting for me that in all other animist times, these things were archetypes. They were honored as gods, and people had intimate relationships with the gods and had practices of invoking their help or guidance. For many of us, we might recall the Greek gods and how different gods were the custodians of different qualities. And if we wanted to deepen our sense of those qualities, we would deepen our relationships, whether it was with Pan, the god of all things and all animals and all aliveness, or whether it was Mercury, the god of that beautiful planet and the fast and quicksilver thought. These are archetypes, and these are relationships to deepen into. They are relationships to become intimate with. In doing that, we're seeking to make real for people the countless ways in which we are held. And I did an exercise today in a workshop that I ran on this, and this is an exercise that I had the pleasure to do with Kerryn and the group in the Acknowledging Country course. And I'll describe it because it's so simple and I found it to be so effective. It's simply to ask people to write a list of statements of things that they love in the world. And I think, Kerryn, when I was with you, I gave the example of the way I love the shadows of the clouds as they race across the mountains. And so I asked people to write a list of things that they love. And then when they've spent some time thinking about these things that they love and writing them, then I asked them to read them aloud to their companion, but not as it is written, but to put the words "I am" in front of it. And it's extraordinary what that little shift did. It brought people into so intimately into their deep core knowing that they're not separate from what it is that they love. So to say, I am the shadows of the clouds as they race across the mountains, brings a tenderness and a poignancy to being in this earth, being with this earth. And then I asked people to shift again, and they read aloud in groups of 4 their sentences, but this time to put the words "we are" in front. And then they went around and they read these list of things they loved out. We are, we are, we are. Created a sense of deep connection and deep sharing, because what I love, there's a fair chance that you too will love it. And to hear that we are included in these things, and to develop really a shared culture of care. That's something that I think ecotherapy is teaching us. It's teaching us how we can share our love, and to do it with grace and skill and allure, to bring people along on the journey of love for this earth. And I do want to say that sometimes this work will call us to go deep, and very deep, because I'm sure all of you know that many people hold themselves back from nature because of fear of its loss, and the fear of their depth of feeling if they were to acknowledge what it would mean, what it means to them, what's happening to the earth in these times. This is such a valid feeling, and it's a painful feeling, and it's coming more and more now to colour the edge of cultural life and seeping ever more quickly into the centre of cultural awareness. it's a really big question. How do we navigate this depth? And how might we as therapists go to that edge and return so that we can become people who can guide people back from the precipice of despair? How might we learn to bear witness, to hold open that deepest of spaces, to be someone who can bear the complex and bitter uncertainties of these times? And how to do such things when these problems often seem impossible and insurmountable. In my way of thinking, they seem like that partly because we tend to see them through the narrow lens of the monkey mind, this human mind we have, the mind of this tribal animal, which is instinctually obsessed with status and personal survival. We are animals. Our survival matters. But we are more than that as well. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Some speak it in that way. And these times call for that greater awareness. Because the truth deep down is that we don't know, and we can't know the future. Because always there's this emergent, evolving, alive edge. That's life. Not knowing is a type of intelligence, a fertile place where we align with the surprising, the adaptable powers of life. So the way I'm thinking about it is that cultivating not knowing is learning to be at peace with this infinite mystery, alive, and this is important, ready to be surprised. Because with such a way of being, we're ready for the offers that life is making to us. We're not stuck in knowing, we're alive to the evolving edge of not knowing. And that is a very beautiful place to be. Because the infinite is present within us. It's present at every stage, at every level. Infinite beauty, infinite complexity. Being present with the infinite, opening ourselves to mystery, opening ourselves to vastness and vast entanglement, co-arising and deep time might, I wonder, grow our capacity to bear witness with infinite care and endless solace, to be like life, to be like the universe. It's the challenge of these times. It's the work of these times, I feel. To be that creative, that we have no idea what's coming next. And to be like life, which just keeps saying yes. Keeps saying yes. Keeps saying yes. Keeps emerging. Keeps growing. The birds keep nesting, the plants keep growing, despite our despair. And that is solace. That is learning, and that is learning to be with something that is more intelligent than the human can ever be, alone. The human wasn't meant to be alone. We're not evolved to be alone. We are evolved to be with the intelligence of life. That's our place. That's where we belong. And that's, I think, the gift of the work that you're doing. So I commend you. I commend you for embarking on this journey, for its depth and its beauty and its challenge. So thank you on behalf of everyone for doing what you're doing. Perhaps we could take a few deep, deep breaths together. Breathe in your trees. And when you release your breath, understand it as a gift. and feel into your entanglement and your belonging. Thank you.
This is Moran Weisel, who is graduating from the certificate.
What does it mean to say that my body is old? Recycled with parts from the start of the world, speckled with dust from the atoms that birthed in the furthest stars, threaded with light from the darkest caverns in the highest skies. What does it mean to say my home is this earth? As I travel through veins of mineral skin, dancing with spirits who cry to me kin, my soul cycles the circles of light that spiral this globe in gossamer glows, guiding me home again and again. What does it mean to wake from my dreams and feel infinity beckoning us humans to dance with the stars that are speaking to us? What does it mean to feel the fractal lights of fern tree life that beckons and whispers us to hear the pulsing rhythms of myrtle wisdoms? I shake in my bones. What does it mean to hear wind-swept cities keen with the sounds of souls once lost, begging for patience as they tear down statues to free themselves from our cement blocks? What does it mean to stretch in the shade of the graves of the massacre sites of the old ones here, and know in my heartbeat I was once beaten here too? What does it mean to take a spear by ethereal beings that bring wind and fire flames, asking me to lay down my sword for the ancient stories needing to change? What does it mean to ask myself, what does it mean to live this land?
So I came across this, I don't like to call it a prayer exactly because I'm not into prayers. It's kind of like a statement, I guess, that I am going to use at the end of the 6-week program that I do. So it's kind of like a closing and an all-encompassing statement for ecotherapists and what we do. So it is by a lady called Pixie Lighthorse. I know. Obviously a pseudonym, but there you go. And it's called Honoring New Life. So bear with me and please enjoy this. Thank you for the abundant life force that pulses within us and enthusiastically welcomes the springtimes we are waking up to. It's a blessing to feel the warmth of the sun on our heads and the moist soil of Mother beneath our boots. Thank you for spotted fawns, thorny asparagus, peonies, the promising snowmelt, cherry blossoms, and new harsh marks on our growth charts. Thank you for fresh buds and green sprigs, early bird songs and chittering squirrels. Thank you for renewing our souls with hope as the season turns over. Let us think of every project as precious seeds. Guide our hands to plant with love, water the rose with diligence, and treasure the sowing process as much as the impending harvest. May we plant with conscious intention. When we have a very good idea, help our minds align with our hearts to know if it is the one to set in the soil. Let love drive the plough. Help us see each other as your unique creatures, each with special gifts designed to honour life. Remind us to acknowledge and celebrate our innate talents and find creative ways to celebrate the gifts you've given us in this lifetime. Show us new ways to express ourselves with more truth and clarity. Find us lying on your breast, Mama, under the blue sky nation. Oh, sorry, emotionally. Sprouting with each raindrop, breathing what the plants breathe, seeing what the birds see, feeling what rabbits feel, sensing what the snakes sense. Teach us to care for and preserve your invaluable resources so the snakes, birds, the rabbits, deer, and plants continue to thrive, as well as the children. Instill in us the belief that we can create a world we can be proud of and leave the earth more beautiful in the process. Work in your hearts so we are open to sharing our harvest when it comes. Make good scouts of us so we can follow a path of bliss and leave no trace.
Yeah.
The end.